Welcome to the On Deck podcast presented by LineStar. I'm Shannon Sommerville here with Tyler Wiemann. We're going to break down some daily fantasy baseball for you today. It is Friday, June 17th. It is also a national holiday. I'm talking about National Mascot Day. You know, the real heroes, the unsung heroes, if you will, of all sports, the mascots that just entertain us, provide us with some great material between innings. You know, it's just...
So who's your favorite?
So I came out with a power rankings list of my favorite mascots. Now I'm just doing baseball because really you could just go all over the map. I mean, there's just so many great ones out there. You got Gritty and NHL. There's just a lot to choose from. So I just was like, let's narrow the focus to baseball.
All right.
I'll go number 1, Philly Fanatic. I feel like probably the most entertaining mascot in all of baseball, fan favorite. I mean, even if you don't like the Phillies, you got to admit that their mascot,
he is probably the most iconic.
Exactly. Yeah. Number 2, Mr. Met. What I appreciate about Mr. Met, he's not afraid to get into it on Twitter with people as well. I think him and Noah Syndergaard had some beef at some time, and I think they worked it out. Perhaps over Mrs. Met. Not sure what that was, but nonetheless, moving on to number 3 is going to be the Braves Blooper, who is just adorable. I'm not exactly sure what animal Blooper is. A dog?
I don't know, but I would probably put Blooper over Mr. Met.
Fair enough. Yes, and you know what? He does have a solid Twitter game as well. That always is a factor. So you know what? I'm going to take your advice and adjust my power rankings accordingly.
I didn't know these mascots had such Twitter games.
They do. Huh. You got to follow them. It's pretty entertaining, actually.
I guess I do.
Number 4, Dinger for the Colorado Rockies, which is a dinosaur. And I'm not sure why they have a dinosaur. Do you? No. I have no idea. No. Like, what's the connection to the Colorado Rockies?
I'm not that sure at all.
I don't know either.
Well, it's like Padres have a chicken.
Right. The San Diego chicken, which I was looking at as well. Didn't make my list, though. Sorry, Tyler. I don't get that. I don't get it.
You're just trolling me again, aren't you?
At number 5, it is kind of a toss-up, right? I couldn't decide between the sausages and the presidents. Both are iconic. It's just funny to see, mascot Benjamin Franklin, running around the stadium is pretty fun. The sausages are hilarious.
Who has the freeze that does the race?
The freeze is the Braves.
Oh, he's also at the Braves.
Does that count as a mascot?
I don't know if it counts, but he is kind of.
That's pretty awesome.
So could the Braves have 2 on the list?
To see people try to chase him down. I mean,
it's
did an article.
It's terrible when they fall.
Then they fall down
with like 5
inches
feet
to
left.
go.
Yeah.
Well, they did an article on the freeze, and I mean, I think the guy that does that is he's a former athlete. He's a legit athlete.
I would assume
D1,
so. How fast he is.
So fast. Yeah. So, honorable mention to Mr. Freeze there. Okay, so
should we fast forward to the slate?
I guess we should. All right, let's take a look first at some weather, though, because we have some really favorable hitter conditions for today, so we have to make you aware of that. Atlanta at Chicago, another great day at Wrigley Field, 78 degrees. Winds kind of left to right, but 10 to 15 miles an hour. And if that shifts, man, that could be home run derby. Milwaukee at Cincinnati. This is an earlier game, so not really in the main slate, but just wanted to let you know. 10-mile-an-hour winds to center at the Great American Small Park.
Yep.
So good conditions there. We've got a steamy one in Washington and 91 degrees there. So some good hitter conditions. And then Boston, warm winds to right, 15 miles an hour at Fenway. And then at Detroit, Comerica Park has warm winds left center, 15-mile-an-hour winds. Good ones there. And lastly, Coors Field is juiced tonight, 90 degrees, winds to center at 10 miles an hour.
12.5
R.I.P. to the
total.
pitcher's stat lines tonight, man. All right, let's get to our chalk report. Speaking of pitchers, let's take a look at the high-owned guys for today, starting with Giants lefty Carlos Rodon going up against the Pirates today. 38% owned on DraftKings, 28% owned on FanDuel. He's got a 3.18 ERA, 2.23 opponent average, and he is top 10 in strikeouts. Last game, just 2 hits, no runs, 8 strikeouts. And today against the Pirates, offense that is anemic. So good matchup
sure
for him.
Is. It's a great matchup for him. Rodon started the year on absolute fire. He had 6 perfect lineups straight to start the year, and then he's kind of faltered. His last 5 haven't been that great, except for versus the Dodgers yesterday. He had that, or not yesterday, last start. It was the 2-hit game. His FIP is 4 over that last 5, and he only has a 23% K rate. However, over the last 20, he is that pitcher we all thought he was. 2.8 FIP, 30% K rate. The StatCast data is good. He snapped back for that last start. I would say he starts trending back to be that guy. And like you said, Pittsburgh offense isn't good. So it makes all the sense that he's high owned, especially on this slate where pitching is a little meh.
It's meh. Yeah. Mariners lefty Robbie Ray. We do have a lot of lefties on the hill today. Robbie Ray is one of them, going up against the Angels today. 35% owned on DraftKings, 24% owned on FanDuel. 4.52 ERA, 2.37 opponent average for Ray. Last game, just 3 hits, but just 4 strikeouts versus the Red Sox. What do you like about Ray's matchup today? I know the Angels are a team that does strike out a little bit, so maybe is it those strikeout
They've
numbers?
Also been struggling, so that's why everybody I think is going here. But there's some question marks with Ray. He is not the Cy Young guy that we saw last year. Over his last 20 starts, 4.6 FIP. So that's a pretty decent size to only have a mid-4s FIP. And then over the last 5, he's at 5.39 for his FIP. So he has not been good lately. He has faced a couple hard teams. Boston twice, Houston. But then also it was like Cincinnati and Baltimore or something, which they're whatever. But anyways, my point is there is some upside here because he does have some strikeout stuff. Angels like to strike out, but he hasn't been great. And I kind of think if ownership's there, I might not be.
Okay. Good note there. A's righty Frankie Montas going up against the Royals today. 30% owned on DraftKings, 7% owned on FanDuel. He's got a 3.40 ERA, 2.21 opponent average. And we should note here that he is LineStar's top projected pitcher for today. Last game, he did get hit a bit. 5 earned runs on 8 hits, 6 innings pitched against the Guardian. But prior to that, he hadn't given up more than 2 runs in 6 of 7 starts. So he's been solid.
Yeah, I do want to start off by... There's something weird going with this game. There still isn't a total for it. Kansas City hasn't let us know who their pitcher is, and I couldn't find props on Montas.
Weird. Okay.
So I don't know exactly what's going on, but kind of pay attention to news just to make sure everything's fine there. So let's get into Montas. He's been terrific. 3.29 FIP over the last 20, 2.6 over the last 5 with a 26% K rate. But he's even better at home. His opponent average is 194 at home with a 2.45 ERA. Kansas City, meanwhile, bottom 10 offense, strikes out 21% versus righties. By all means, you should be playing Montas probably.
Yeah. All right. So basically for those high-owned guys, Rodon you're fine with. Ray you're kind of staying away from, but Montas is one of your guys.
Probably, yeah. Okay. With Ray being high owned, it's just hard for me to go there, especially because I think ownership is right with hitting today. And so I'm going to probably have to get a little different at pitcher somehow. Okay.
Taking a look at low-owned pitchers for today. Texas Rangers righty John Gray going up against the Tigers today. 20% owned on DraftKings and just 2% owned on FanDuel. He's got a 4.85 ERA, 2.29 opponent average, although he's been kind of dialing it up in the month of June, rather. 190 is his opponent average in June. Last game held the White Sox to just 3 hits, 1 run, and he had 10 strikeouts in that game. So some nice stuff from Gray going up against the Tigers, who another anemic offense.
Anemic offense, strike out a lot. Worst offense versus righties in the league. And Gray's been decent. 3.8 FIP, 28% K rate. Can't really go wrong with those numbers, especially at his price where he's not that expensive. There's obvious upside. The one thing that is dangerous is the hitting weather in Detroit. It is pretty good hitting weather, but it doesn't scare me that much with Detroit's offense.
Exactly. Dodgers lefty Clayton Kershaw. He's back going up against the Guardians. And the ownership is low, 4% and 2% respectively. And Kershaw's back in his first game at Dodger Stadium since April 30th. So given he was down with some injuries and stuff, what are you expecting from him today?
So in his first start back, he went 71 pitches. So he is going to be a little limited, so you may not get the full upside of Kershaw. But I would still expect like mid-80 pitches or so. 3.1 FIP over the last 20, 2.7 on the season, 28% K rate. He still has obvious upside. And he, in 38 plate attempts, they are only hitting 108 versus him. So he has some great BBP data. It is Clayton Kershaw. He's going way under-owned.
I feel like that's definitely worth taking a risk on.
It's worth taking some
Kershaw
chance.
Start.
Yeah.
Guardians are good, but
they're not quite as good against lefties. So that's kind of
where your thinking is there. I like it.
And we're going to have to take some chances on the slate.
For sure. So, taking a look now at our stacks. High-owned stacks for today. Yeah, you know where everybody's headed. Coors Field. We're talking about first the Padres going up against Rockies lefty Kyle Freeland. 4.39 ERA, 2.71 opponent average. Not terrible. But then you look at his home numbers, which, got the Coors Field effect there. 5.35 ERA, 3.04 opponent average for him at home. Last game against the Padres, he did well. 2 earned runs on just 3 hits, 3 strikeouts. But this game is not at the pitcher-friendly Petco Park. It is at Coors Field, where we mentioned the weather is warm, the wind is blowing out. It's like the trifecta of all things that could make that even more hitter-friendly than it already is.
Earlier this week, we saw game totals of 12, and we thought that was crazy. This is 12.5, even more crazy.
And the Padres put up 19 at Wrigley Field the other day.
Padres have been crushing the ball. They're coming from Chicago, which we had good hitting weather, and they're just continuing that now. It's really more so. This is the weather. This is the Padres being hot. Freeland has been a decent pitcher. He's a decent pitcher at home. But obviously, like you talked about, those at-home numbers, opponent 304 average, slugging 500 against him at home, and that 5.35 ERA. Kind of hard to get away from the Padres today.
And on the flip side of that matchup, the Rockies are going up against Padres lefty Mackenzie Gore, who has solid numbers, 2.50 ERA, 2.14 opponent average. And the last game against the Rockies, 6 earned runs, though, on 5 hits. Didn't even make it past 2 1/3.
Yeah.
So today, what do you... I feel like it could be a long, short day for Mr. Gore.
Gore has been phenomenal. 2.38 FIP on the year, 29% K rate. It's legit elite kind of numbers. And he's been better on the road, 195 opponent batting average and only an ERA of 1. But on the road doesn't mean it's in Colorado with 90-degree weather, winds blowing out, all that. He has only let 1 home run go on the year. So he has been limiting home runs. Gore is good. I actually looked through to see some of his props, seeing if I could use him as a prop bet today.
You could get crazy and just... with everybody going here,
his K rate or his K line was way too low, but I then looked at Colorado at home versus lefties. They've only struck out 19 times at home versus a lefty. So I was off that one. I almost went Mackenzie Gore for a win. It was at like plus 195, but still I just couldn't quite trust it. The weather's too good. Colorado's going to put the bat on the ball, and we'll just see what happens there.
All right, so that's our high-owned plays for today. Let's go to low-owned. We're talking Cardinals going up against the Red Sox righty Michael Wacha, who's been pretty good this year. 2.33 ERA, 195 opponent average, although he did get knocked around by the Mariners the last game. 3 earned runs on 8 hits. And some of the Cardinals do really well against Wacha, specifically Nolan Arenado. I saw he had a 4.62 average against him with 3 home runs and 13 at-bats. So there are some numbers to indicate that Cardinals could have a nice day today.
Yeah, and Wacha's been really good this year, but his FIP is rising. It's up to 4 now. His hard hit rate is at career lows, but that's down 11% from last season. and his K rate is also down 6%. So there's
Yeah.
just some numbers. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
And so I'm expecting some regression coming soon. There's great hitting weather in Boston, mid 80s, 15 mile an hour to right. St. Louis is a great offense. So this is really all about trying to see if we can catch some aggression here. He's allowing 40% fly balls, 25% line drives, and only 16% soft contact. So people are hitting him.
Yeah.
It's just going to players. He's been getting lucky. His velocity is also slightly down. I'm really not seeing much change in his pitch data. So I think he's going to end up reverting back to who he's been. And if that's the case, we should be stacking against him occasionally.
Yeah, it might catch up to him today with the wind blowing 15 miles an hour. Some of those balls are going to leave the yard.
Yeah.
How about the Phillies going up against the Nationals today? It's kind of a bullpen game for the Nationals. It seems like they have Paulo Espino getting the start for them, who's got a 2.08 ERA, 2.35 opponent average, although, he doesn't go past like 2 or 3 innings.
Yeah, and they're not going to be low owned. I would expect the Phillies to be like the 3rd highest owned team. Mm-hmm. But with the Padres getting such a significant amount, it's kind of low owned for this slate. But again, great hitting weather. Spino hasn't been good. This is going to be a bullpen game, and Washington bullpen is awful. So 5.76 FIP, allowing 2.1 home runs on the year. So really just keep attacking them. Philadelphia has been hot too, especially Hoskins.
Oh, yes. Delivered a prop for me the other day, and that was always...
Schwarbaum had 2 home runs.
Yeah.
Harper is Harper. So.
All right. What other teams are you looking at for some...
I think you could go to the Dodgers, Yankees, Giants, Mets. The Marlins still haven't said who their pitcher is, so that one does intrigue me. Great hitting weather for the Mets again when wind is blowing out there too. So that's kind of a TBD, but it's interesting.
It's been a fun week with all this hitter weather. I love it.
I know. I like the offense.
Let's get to some sleeper picks for you in daily fantasy. This is where we take the LineStar projections, sort them by value, and give you the top projected value play. Yesterday's did pretty well for us. Duranimal delivered big time, and you told me today that he was in the perfect
lineup on both FanDuel and DraftKings.
Yeah, Ezekiel Duran delivered yesterday. So let's see if today's guys can do it. DraftKings, we have Padres outfielder Nomar Mazara, $2,300 on DraftKings. Great price for him. He's got a projection of 7.77 today for those fantasy points. Hey, 90 degrees, wind blowing out at Coors Field. Sign me up for anybody. If you were playing at Coors Field, I might take you on my lineup. Although Tyler can rake. He can.
He's also hitting .571 versus lefties this year.
That's crazy.
With a 7.14 slugging. He is
$350 on the year. Yep. Just absolutely insane that he's $2,300. Rockies lefty Kyle Freeland giving up a 304 average at Coors this season. And he also has reverse splits. Lefties have an OPS of 887 against him. That's over 150 points better than righty bats against Freeland. So sign me up for that one. Absolutely. Get him in your lineup. And on FanDuel, the sleeper pick of the day is Bobby Dalbec. The Boston Red Sox first baseman is $2,200 and projected for 11.29 points today. Batting under 200 on the season, but he's been heating up. He's gotten a hit in 7 of the last 9 games, going up against Cardinals' Adam Wainwright, who's actually been getting knocked around a little bit in the month of June. He has a 309 opponent average this month. Dalbec's a guy who's going to be batting first, so you might get an extra AB or 2 out of him. Wind is blowing out to right. Just really favorable conditions, I think, with both of our sleeper picks for today. We're just going with guys who are playing at really hitter-friendly conditions.
Yeah, and I think that game, Boston versus St. Louis, is just going a little under-owned. It has a pretty big run total, 10.5, but it's just being so overshadowed by Colorado.
Yeah, so some great value plays there for you. Remember, you can find some more value at LineStarApp.com and use our lineup optimizer to help you win some of these contests and win some money. Check out LineStarApp.com. Now let's move along to our home run calls of the day. I'm going for 3 for 3 today.
Yeah, you are.
I've really been going out on a limb, taking some really out there plays. First day was Vladdy Guerrero.
Yep.
And
next is Mike Trout.
Mike Trout.
Now you're going to complete it with...
I'm just going to complete the trifecta of chalk today. Yep. And I'm going Aaron Judge. Yup. 375 average against Blue Jays righty Ross Stripling. This one's at the Rogers Center. And he hasn't had a home run since Wednesday. 2 whole days or 1 whole day without a home run. I mean... He's just due for one now, right?
Obviously.
752 slugging against righties. Stripling gives up a 347 slugging to righty bats. And he's been actually not bad, but you know what? He hasn't given up a home run in the last 6 games. Not today. Ooh. Judge is taking him deep. Ooh. Judge me.
Judge him. I will.
I know you will. What you got today?
All right. I am going with the babyface assassin.
Oh.
The Minister of Defense, Manny Machado. He's averaging 1 home run every 10 at-bats versus lefties this season, slugging .613 against them. And today we have 90-degree weather with winds blowing out in Colorado. That ball is going over the fence.
Oh, my gosh.
It's going to be a Hakuna Machado.
I love that. Yeah, that's definitely going to happen. I feel like I might put money on that one, too. I might put money on both of these today, man. All this hitter weather. Remember to follow along on Twitter and retweet us on our home run calls tweet for a chance to win. You can get a free LineStar subscription or just some straight cash. So check it out. It's really fun. Everyone kind of has been tweeting in their picks too, so it's been fun. Some people are picking really random guys in their hitting, and it's been really fun to see that as well. Now it's time for our prop bets of the day. And remember, you can just go ahead and put some money down on these by using Prize Picks. And Prize Picks is an app that, sports betting, it depends on state to state, but Prize Picks is kind of like a fantasy game, and you can pick some of these prop bets.
It's a game of skill.
It's a game of
skill. So you can just, put a couple players together and make some money.
Yeah, we'll drop the link below, and you can click on it to get that. So let's get to our prop bets here. Where are you headed for your prop bet?
I am going to Philadelphia with Rhys Hoskins. When I saw this line, I could not believe it. I had to double check to make sure it was right. Over 0.5 bases at plus 120.
This is
plus
crazy.
Money when this guy is so hot, hitting 500 over the last week with 643 ISO. And Washington has Espino going, who is an opener, and they have a terrible bullpen. Hoskins has hit this in 9 of 10 games, and he's going to do it again today.
That's incredible.
You
have to go take that right now.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going with the lefty bat of Brewers, Christian Yelich, over 1.5 bases. That's at plus 125. And I love this because the hitter weather today is going to be awesome at the Great American Small Park. And Yelich has hit this in 5 of the last 9 games. 242 on the season, but 333 the last week with 2 home runs. He's been on fire. He's got a 913 OPS in his career at the Great American Ballpark, where today it is 87 degrees and 10-mile-an-hour winds to center. He's also 2 for 4 against Hunter Green with a home run. So, hey, I think he might even get a home run in there as well.
Green can give him up.
Yes, he sure can.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to do it for our prop bets today. Remember to check us out at linestarapp.com. Hey, comment below too, subscribe. Make sure you're keeping up with all of our content here on the YouTube channel. Let us know your favorite mascot. Who's your favorite mascot, Tyler? I spent so much time talking about mine. I didn't even ask you what yours was.
I think Philly.
Was it the chicken?
The Philly fanatic is definitely, I would say, probably the most iconic, but I got to go with the chicken.
Okay.
Got it. Got to be a homer.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend and good luck to you in all your betting.
Have a good one, guys. Enjoy your weekend.